Hello. Where's your luggage?
I've left it at the station. I just walked all the way up from Haslemere.
Oh. And who's to fetch it?
Don't know, don't care. Providence, probably. If not, your mother will have it fetched.
Not her business exactly, is it?
No, not really, but that's why one loves her for doing it. Come on, chuck away your silly weekend novel and talk to a chap. After a week in that filthy office, my brain is simply blue molding. Let's argue about something intellectual, shall we?
No. Now, seriously, Bonnie, I've come down here to enjoy a pleasant weekend. I'm not going to stand for confounded arguments. If you want to argue, get out of this and go to the Congregationalist ministers. He's a man at arguing. He likes it.
Yes, but you can't very well argue with someone whose livelihood depends on not letting you convert him, now can you? And would you mind not calling me Bunny? My name is Bentley Summer Hayes, would you please?
What's the matter with Bunny?
It puts me in a false position. Have you ever considered the fact that I was an afterthought?
An afterthought? What do you mean by that?
Well, you see...
Stop. I don't want to know. It's only a dart to start an argument.
Don't worry, it won't overtax your brain. It's very simple. You see, my father was 44 when I was born, and my mother was 41. There was 12 years between me and the next eldest. I was unexpected. I was probably unintentional. You see, my brothers and sisters are not the least like me. They're the regular thing you always get in the first batch of young parents. You know, ordinary, do the regular thing sort. All body and no brains.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. Well, now by the time I came along, the old couple knew something. So I came out all brains and no more body than is absolutely necessary. I really am a great deal older than you. Even though you were born 10 years sooner, everybody feels that when they hear us talk. Well, consequently, it sounds ridiculous and unbecoming for you to call me Bunny. It sounds perfectly natural for me to call you Johnny.
Doesn't bite, George. You stop me doing it if you can, that's all.
But if you go on doing it after I've asked you not to, you're an awful swine. At least I should. Oh, but I suppose you're not so particular.
I know what it is, my boy. You want a good talking to, and I'm going to give it to you. If you think that because your father's a KCB, and you want to marry my sister, that you can make yourself as nasty as you please and say what you like, you're mistaken. You're on trial in the office because the governor isn't giving his daughter money for an idle man to live on her. You're on trial here because my mother thinks a girl ought to know what a man is like before she marries him. And what's the result? You've got yourself thoroughly disliked in the office and here, all through your bad manners and your conceit, and the damned impudence you think clever.
That's enough, thank you. You don't suppose, I hope, that I should have come down here had I known that's the way you all feel about me. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
No, you don't run away. I'm going to have this out with you. Do you hear? Sit down. That's the advantage to having more body than brains, you see. It enables me to teach you some manners, and I'm going to do it too. You're a spoiled young pup, and you need a jolly good licking. And if you're not careful, you'll get it. I'll see to that next time you call me a swine.
I didn't call you a swine. But you are a swine! You're a beast, you're a brute, you're a bully, you're a cat. There, I should like to wring your damn neck for you!
Try it, my son.
Oh.
Fighting isn't in your line, you're too childish. I always suspected that your cleverness wouldn't come to very much when it was brought up against something solid. Some decent chap's fist, for instance.
I hope your fist may come up against a mad bull or a prize fighter's nose or something solider than me. I don't care about your fist, but if everybody here dislikes me, I'm sorry I intruded, I didn't know. Swine.
All right, my lad, all right. Sling your mud as hard as you please, it won't stick to me. But what I want to know is this. How is it that your father, who I suppose is the strongest man England has produced in our time, could have anything?
Please, you got that out of your half-penny paper. I had a lot you know about him.
I don't pretend to be able to do anything but admire him and respect him as an Englishman. If it wasn't for my respect for him, I wouldn't have stood your cheek for 2 days, let alone 2 months. But what I can't understand is why he didn't lick it out of you when you were a kid. I don't hold with my own father's views about corporal punishment being wrong. It's necessary for some people, and I haven't tried it on you until you first learn to how and then to behave yourself.
Yes, I suppose behavior wouldn't come naturally to your son, now would it?
Now you keep a civil tongue in your head. I'll stand none of your snobbery. I'm just as proud of Tarleton's underwear as you are of your father's KCB and his title and all the rest of it. My father started in a little shop in Leeds, no bigger than the pantry down the passage.
I know, I've read it. The Romance of Business, or the story of Tarleton's underwear. Please, take one. On the first day after I met Hypatia, I went out and bought a half-dozen unshrinkable vests for her sake.
Well, did they shrink?
Don't be a fool.
And never mind whether I'm a fool or not. Did they shrink? That's the point. Were they worth the money?
I couldn't wear them. You think my skin is as thick as your customers' hides? I'd soon dress myself in a nutmeg grater.
Pity your father didn't give your thin skin a jolly good lacing with a cake.
Pity you haven't really got more than one idea. You really must know they did try having one once. A silly governess did it. I felt a fit to bring down the house. I went into brain fever and convulsions and that sort of thing for 3 weeks. After that, the old girl got the sack and served her right. You see, my father didn't want me to grow up a broken, spirited spaniel, which is your idea of a man, I suppose.
Jolly good thing for you that your father made you come into the office and show what you were made of. And it didn't come to much, let me tell you that. When the governor asked me where we ought to put you, I said, make him the office boy. The governor said you were too green, and so you were.
I dare say. And so would you be pretty green if you were shoved into my father's set. I picked up your silly business in a fortnight. Trouble is you've been at it 10 years and you haven't picked it up yet.
Don't talk rot, child. You know you simply make me pity you.
Oh, no. Romance of business, indeed. The real romance of Tarleton's business is the story that you understand anything about it. I mean, you never could explain any mortal thing when I asked you. All you would say was, see what was done the last time. The beginning and the end of your wisdom. You're nothing but a turnspit.
A what?
A turnspit. If your father had made a roasting jack for you to turn, why, you'd be earning 24 shillings a week behind the counter.
You don't take that back and apologize for your bad manners. I'll give you as good a hiding as you have ever had in your entire life, young man. Run away!
Help! Oh my God! Oh my God! Help! Help! Let a wasp be dashed!
Oh, buddy, that's a naughty word.
I know. Well, Johnny frightened me, and I'm not strong enough to defend myself against Johnny.
Johnny, how often have I told you not to bully the little ones? I thought you'd outgrown all that.
I did declare, Mama, that Johnny's brutality makes it impossible to live in the house with him.
It's 14 years, Mother, since you had that row with me for giving Hypatia a black eye because she bit me. And now because this young whelp cries out before he's hurt, you treat me as if I were a brute and a savage.
No, dear, not a savage, but you know you mustn't call our visitor naughty names.
Oh, that's all right. Let him alone.
And don't you interfere between me and my mother, do you hear?
Johnny's lost his temper, Mother. We'd better go. Evidently.
Yes, that will be best. Johnny will be himself. Come along.
Smash it. Don't hesitate, it's an ugly thing. Smash it. Hard. Feel better now? There's only one person alive who's driving to the point of having to either break china or commit murder. And that person is my son, Billy. Was it he? As I got out of the car, I heard a sound only too familiar to me. It generally means that some infuriated person is trying to thrash Bentley. Nobody succeeded, though almost everybody has tried. Bentley is a problem which I confess I've never been able to solve. He was born to be a great success at the age of 50. Most Englishmen of his class were born to be great successes at the age of 24 at most. The domestic problem for me is how to endure Bentley until he's 50. The problem for the nation is how to get itself governed by men whose growth was arrested when they were little more than college lads. Bentley doesn't really mean to be offensive. You can always make him cry by telling him you don't like him. When he cries so loud, the experiment should be made in the open air. Oh, you'll forgive me rambling on about my son this way.
You did it on purpose. I needed a moment to pull round, but I wasn't quite myself.
Oh,
Thank you.
not at all. Is your father at home?
No, he's opening another free library. That's another nice little penny gone. He's mad on reading. It's ruinous. He promised another free library last week. It'll hit you as well as me when Bunny marries Paisha. When all Paisha's money's thrown away on free libraries, where will Bunny come in? Can't you stop it?
Oh, I'm afraid not. It is a perfect whirlwind. Indefatigable at public work. Wonderful man, I think.
Public work. Takes his mind off the main chance and he overdoes it.
Well, the danger of public work is that it never ends. A man may kill himself at it.
I'll spend more on it than it brings him in. I don't see it. I never did see it. Even when I was only a boy, had to pretend to take in all the ideas the governor fed me up.
Well, there's certainly no business reason why you should carry on more than your share of the world's work.
So I say, it's really a great encouragement to see that you agree with me. But of course, if no one agrees with you, well, how are you to know that you're not a fool?
Quite so.
I wish you'd talk to him about it. Besides, you know how to handle men. See how you handled me when I was making a fool of myself about money.
No, not at all.
Yes, I was. I know I was. Well, if my blessed father had come in, he told me to control myself, as if I was losing my temper on purpose.
Hello, Commander. Have you come? I've been making a rather filthy, silly ass of myself here. I'm awfully sorry, Johnny. I beg your pardon. Why don't you just kick me when I go on like that?
As we came through Godalming, I thought I heard some yelling.
I should think you did. Oh, Johnny was rather rough on me, though. He told me that nobody had liked me, and I'm silly enough to believe him.
And all the women have been kissing you and pitying you to stop your crying, I suppose. Baby.
I did cry. But I always feel good after a good cry. It relieves my wretched nerves. I feel perfectly jolly now.
Not at all ashamed of yourself, for instance.
If I spent time being ashamed, I should have time for nothing else all my life. I say, I feel very fit and spry. Let's all go down and meet the Grand Champ, shall we?
Does Mr. Tarleton like to be called the Grand Champ, do you think, then?
Oh, no, not really. He thinks he's too modest for it. He prefers plain John. Oh, but don't call him that in his own office. Besides, it doesn't really suit him, does it? He's not flamboyant enough, is he?
What?
Flamboyant. He's just telephoned from Guildford to say he's on the road. Poor dear, he's always telephoning, telegraphing. Thinks he's moving anything along like anybody's business when he's only sending unnecessary messages.
Thank you. I should prefer a quiet afternoon.
Righto. I shan't press Johnny. He's had quite enough of me for one weekend. Tom.
Not a bad idea, that.
What?
Going to meet the governor. You know you wouldn't know it, but the governor likes Bunny rather, and Bunny is cultivating it. I shouldn't be surprised if he thought that he could squeeze me out one of these days.
You don't say so. Young rascal. I should like to consult with you about him if you don't mind. Shall we stroll over to the McDevitt? Well, Bentley's too fast a walking companion for me, but I should like a short turn.
Right you are. That'll suit me down to the ground.
Oh, Lord Sutherland, I didn't know you were here. Won't you have some tea?
Oh, I'm not allowed to. I'm ashamed to say I've knocked over your beautiful crock. You must let me replace it.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm too glad to be rid of it. The shopman told me it was in the best of taste, but when my poor nurse Martha got cataract, Bunny
Bentley, Mrs. Tarleton. I hope you told him so.
Oh, bless you. I don't care what he says. Well, he says to me, not before visitors.
We're going out for a stroll, Mother.
All right, don't let us keep you. Never mind about the clock. I'll have the girl come and take the pieces away. There, I've done it. That's pretty.
Done what?
Oh, the girl. You know, Lord, some days it's a funny thing, but now I'm getting old. I'm beginning to drop back into all the ways John and I had when we barely had another year. If Johnny on vacation would slip a word, it was like old times I was down with him like anything. Now I'm beginning to do it myself at every turn.
Well, there comes a time in life when all that seems to matter so little. Even queens drop the mask when they reach our type of life.
But you alone for giving that thing a pretty turn. You're a humbug, you know, Lord Summerdale. John doesn't know it, and Johnny doesn't know it, but you and I know it, don't we? Now that's something to keep on us, so we all put the walk without another word.
Welcome! Why have you stayed away so long?
Yes, I should have come sooner, but I'm really rather lost. Still, thank you. Well, the truth of the matter is, I have nothing to do. I never have time to go anywhere.
Oh, paradox. Paradox. Good. Paradoxes are the only truths. So read Chesterton. Oh, but there's lots for you to do here. You have a genius for government. You learned your job out there in Genghis Khan. Well, we want to be governed here in England. Governance.
Ah, yes, my friend, but in Genghis Khan, you have to govern the right way. If you don't, you go under and come home. Here, everything has to be done the wrong way to suit governors who understand nothing but partridge shooting, and voters who don't know what they're voting about. Oh, I don't understand these democratic games, and I'm afraid I'm too old to learn. What can I do but sit in the window of my club, which consists mostly of retired Indian civil servants? We look on at the folly and the muddle and the amateurishness, and we ask each other where a single fortnight of it would have landed us.
Oh, well, very true. Still, democracy is all right, you know. Or read Mill, read Jefferson.
Yes, democracy reads well, but it doesn't act well. Like some people's plays. No, my friend Tarleton, to make democracy work, you need an aristocratic democracy. To make aristocracy work, you need a democratic aristocracy. You've got neither, and there's an end of it.
Oh, but still, you know that the Superman may come. That the Superman's an idea, and I believe in ideas. So read, what's his name?
Reading's a dangerous medium, Tarleton. I wish I could convince your free library people.
Why, man, it's the beginning of education.
On the contrary, it's an end of it. How can you dare teach a man to read until you've taught him everything else first?
Leave it at that. That's good sense. Anybody on for a game of tennis?
Well, let's have some more improving conversation. Wouldn't you rather, Johnny?
If you ask me, no.
You don't cultivate your mind, Johnny. You don't read.
Yes, I do. I bet you what you like that page for page I read more than you. Only I don't talk about it so much. And I don't read the same books. I like a book with a plot in it. You like a book with nothing in it but some idea that the chap that writes it keeps worrying like a cat chasing its own tail. I pay him to amuse me and to make me forget.
No, wrong principle. You want to remember. Read Kipling, lest we forget.
Kipling wants to remember, let him remember. If he had to run Tarleton's underwear, he'd be jolly glad to forget. I pay him to amuse me and take me out of myself. After all, who would want as an author that he should be privileged to take liberties that are not allowed to other men?
You see, John, what have I always told you? Johnny has as much to say as anybody when he likes to.
I'm no fool, Mother. No matter what some people may fancy, I don't set up to have as many ideas as the governor. What ideas I have are consecutive. I can think as well as talk.
I think he's had you there, old man. I mean, you are rather all over the shop with your ideas, ain't you?
I'm not saying anything against you, Governor, but I do say that the time has come for sane, healthy, unpretending men like me to take a stand against this conspiracy of the writing and talking and artistic lot to put us all on the back row. It's not a fact that we're inferior to them, it's a put-up job. Anyhow, they're the refuse and failure of business, and we're the successes of it. Thank God I haven't yet failed at anything. And I don't think that I should fail at literature if it would pay me to take a hand to it.
Yeah.
Fancy you writing a Johnny, do you think you could learn something?
Why not? All the really prosperous authors I've met since my return to England have been very like it.
Oh, well, there's an idea. I believe I ought to have made Johnny an author. Well, I've never said so for fear of hurting his feelings, because after all, the lad can't help it. But I've never thought Johnny worth tuppence as a man of business.
No. You think you kept that to yourself, do you, Governor? I know your opinion of me as well as you know it yourself. You've never been, and you never have been, a real man of business. I know what Tarleton's would have been 3 or 4 times if it hadn't been for me.
Well, who can deny it? You're quite right, my boy. I don't mind confessing to you all that the circumstances that condemned me to keep a shop are the biggest tragedy in modern life. I ought to have been a writer. I am essentially a man of ideas. When I was a young man, I sometimes used to pray that I might fail so that I should be justified in giving up business and doing something first class, but it was no good. I couldn't fail. I sometimes used to say that if I could just once go to my chickadee here and show her a chartered accountant's letter proving that I made you 20 pounds less than last year, then I could ask her to let me chance Johnny's and Hypatia's future by going into literature, but no good. First it was 200 pounds more than last year, then it was 700, then it was 2,000, then I saw it was no use. For me, as it was change, it was wrong. There is not to be. Well, some days I'd ask you to excuse me for a few moments. There are times when a man needs to meditate in solitude on his destiny. A chord is touched, and he sees the drama of his life as a spectator sees a play. Well, there's an idea in that, an idea for a picture. Oh, what a pity young Bentley is not a painter. Tarleton meditating on his destiny. Well, not in a toga, not in the trappings of the tragedian or the philosopher, but in plain coat and trousers, a man like any other man. And beneath that coat and trousers, a human soul. And Tarleton's underwear.
I suppose it's a wife's partiality or something, but I do think John is really great. I'm sure he was meant to be a king. My father looked down on John because he was a reed collector and John kept his shop. It hurt his pride to have to borrow money so often from John. He used to console himself by saying, after all, he's only a learning grade. But at last one day he came to me and said, John is a king.
Yes, and how much did he borrow on that occasion?
If Joe scolded the child, he'd have to say something like that as his last word. Besides, he's quite right. My father had asked for his usual £5. John gave him 100 in his big way. Just like a king.
Not at all. I had 5 kings to manage when I was in Genghis Khan, and I think you do your husband some injustice, Mrs. Tarleton. Well, they pretended to like me because I kept their brothers from murdering them. But I didn't like them, and I liked Tarleton.
Everybody does. You know, I must go have to put you in a Welsh rabbit. He expects one on special occasions. Johnny, ask me where we put that Turkish bar. Turkish bars are his latest.
Now that the governor's given himself away and the old lady's gone, I'll tell you something more some days. If you study men who make an enormous pile of business without being keen on money, you'll notice that they all have a slight off. The governor's a wonderful man, but he's not all there, you know. Erratic, that's what he is. And the danger is that someday he'll give the whole show away.
Giving the show away is only a method like any other method. Keeping it to yourself is only another method. I should keep an open mind about it.
It never occurred to you that a man with an open mind must be a bit of a scoundrel. If you ask me, I like a man who makes up his mind once and for all as to what's right and what's wrong and then sticks to it. At all events, you know where you have him.
That may not be his object.
He may want to have you, little chap.
Well, let him. An open mind is all very well and clever talky, but in conduct and in business, give me solid ground.
Yes, the quicksands make life more difficult, but still, there they are. There's no use pretending they're off.
I don't know. You can draw a line and make other chaps tow it. That's what I call morality.
Very true, but you don't make any progress when you're towing a line.
Billy, do go play tennis with Johnny. You must take exercise.
Do, my boy, do. Think about to make him see about it.
Oh, all right. I did promise you 2 more inches round my chest this summer. I tried doing exercises with that India rubber expander, but instead of expanding me, it crumpled me up. Come along, let's go.
Do you know Indigood, young chap?
Oh, just discussing your prowess, my dear sir. Magnificent. We'll come in and stay for dinner. Stay over the weekend. Stay the week. The chickabiddy will be delighted.
Won't you take off your goggles and have some tea?
Oh, do have a watch. Now, Johnny, show this gentleman to your room. I'll look after Mr. Percival and make sure that he gets better.
I assure you, if I had the faintest notion that my passenger was a lady, I shouldn't have let you to shift for yourself in that selfish way.
She seems to have shifted from both very well.
It saved my life. I admit it most gratefully.
No, I must apologize, madam, for having offered you the civilities appropriate to the opposite sex. But I'm proud to receive in my house a lady of evident refinement and distinction. Allow me to introduce myself, Tarleton, John Tarleton of Tarleton's Underwear. My wife, Mrs. Tarleton. You'll excuse me for having had what I had taken to be a confidence between man and man, alluded to her as the chickabiddy. My daughter Hypatia, who has always wanted some adventure to drop out of the sky and is now, I hope, satisfied at last. Lord Summerhays, a man known wherever the British flag waves. His son Bentley, engaged to Hypatia. Mr. Joseph Percival, the promising son of 3 highly intellectual fathers.
His friend.
May I now ask the pleasure of knowing your name, please?
My name is Lena Shishibanovska.
Shh! I beg your pardon.
Shishibanovska.
Thank you.
Would you mind saying
Say fish.
fish?
Say church.
Church.
Say fish church.
Oh, no, it's not good sit. It's like
Say fish church.
fish church.
Again.
Fish church.
Now say Shishibanovska.
Shushapanowska. Oh, God, by gad! Oh, Shushapanowska. Shushapanowska. Not an English name, is it?
Polish. I am a Pole.
Ah, yes. What other nation, madam, could have produced your magical personality? Your countrywomen have always appealed to our imagination. They were women of destiny, beautiful, musical, passionate, tragic. You will be at home here. My own temperament is preeminently Polish. Chair, chair, chair. And won't you sit down?
Thank you. Have some tea now, won't you? Why never drink tea?
Oh, can't take the airplane on, I should imagine. Too jumpy. Dinner much?
Not in an aeroplane. I have parachuted, but that is child's play. Aren't you very foolish to run such a dreadful risk? You can't live without running risks. But what's a thing to say? Don't you mind getting killed? Of course. That is why I went up.
Can't you understand the fascination of the thing? The novelty, the daring, the sense of something happening.
Oh, no. It is too tame a business for that. Besides, I went up for family reasons.
What? Family business?
I hope it wasn't to spite your mother.
Or your husband.
I'm not married. Why should I want to spite my mother?
That was clever of you, Mr. Percival.
What?
To find out.
I'm in a difficulty. I can't understand a lady going up in an airplane for family reasons. I know it's rude to be curious and ask questions, but it's inhuman to be indifferent, as if you didn't care.
Well, I'll tell you with pleasure. For the last 150 years, not a single day has passed without one member of my family risking his life, or her life. It is a point of honor with us to keep up that position. Usually, several of us do it, but it happens that just at this moment, it is being kept up by one of my brothers only. Earlier this morning, I got a telegram from him to say that there had been a fire, and that he could do nothing for the rest of the week. Fortunately, I had an invitation from the Aerial League to see this gentleman try and break the passenger record. I appealed to the president of the league to let me save the honor of my family. He arranged it for me.
Ah, I must be dreaming. This is stark raving nonsense.
You are quite awake, sir.
You can't all be dreaming the same thing, Governor.
Oh, of course not, you jumper. But then I'm dreaming you as well as the lady.
Don't be silly, Joe. The lady's only joking, I'm sure. Your luggage is in the aeroplane?
Luggage was out of the question. If I stay to dinner, I'm afraid I can't change unless you lend me some clothes.
So do you mean neither of you?
I'm afraid so.
Okay, that's fine. My patient will lend the lady a gown. Oh, thank you. I am quite comfortable as I am. I am not accustomed to gowns, and they hamper me and make me feel ridiculous. So if you do not mind, I shall not change. Well, I'm beginning to think I'm doing a bit of dreaming myself.
Oh, it's all right, Mama. Johnny, take care of Mr. Crystal. Come with me. Thank you.
I'll show you.
Thank you. Confound it, what sort of girl are you? What sort of house is this? Must I throw all good manners to the winds?
Do. This is a house of a respectable shopkeeper. You know, Mr. Rich, this is a respectable shopkeeper's daughter. Tired of good manners? Come, handsome young man, and play with the respectable shopkeeper's daughter.
No. Don't you know you mustn't go on like this with a perfect stranger?
Drop down from the sky. Don't you know you must always go like this when you get a chance? You must come to the top of the hill and chase me through the bracken. You may kiss me if you catch me.
I shall do nothing of the sort.
Yes, you will. You can't help yourself. Come along. Fool, come along. Don't you want to?
No, certainly not. I should never be forgiven if I did it.
You'll never forgive yourself if you don't.
Nonsense. You're engaged to Ben. Ben's my friend. What do you take me for?
Ben's old. Ben was born old. They're all old except you and me and that man-woman or woman-man or whatever. They never do anything. They only discuss whether what other people do is right. Come give them something to discuss.
I will do nothing incorrect.
Don't be afraid, little boy. You get nothing but a kiss, and I'll fight like the devil to keep you from getting that. But we must play on the hill and race through the heather.
Why?
Because we want to, handsome young man.
But if everybody went on in this way...
How happy the world would be.
But the consequences may be serious.
Nothing is worth doing unless the consequences may be serious. My father says so, and I'm my father's daughter.
I'm the son of 3 fathers. I mistrust these wild impulses.
Take care, you're letting the moment slip. I feel the first chill of the wave of fury saving me.
Really, Miss Carlton? Damn you! I beg your pardon, but since we've both forgotten ourselves, you'll please allow me to leave the house.
Are you ashamed of having said damn you to me?
I had no right to say it. I'm very much ashamed of it. I've already begged your pardon.
And you're not ashamed of having said Really, Miss Tarleton?
Why should I?
Man means stupid, cowardly, selfish, masculine, male man. You ought to have been a governess. I was expelled from school for saying that the very next person who said, really, Miss Tarleton to me, I was struck across the face. You were the next.
I had no intention of being offensive. Surely there is nothing that can wound any lady. At least, I really didn't mean to be disagreeable.
Liar.
Of course, if you're going to insult me, I'm quite helpless. You're a woman. You can say what you like.
And you can only say what you dare. Oh, that isn't much. Really, Mr. Percival? You sit down in the presence of a lady and leave her standing. Oh, really, Mr. Percival? Really, Mr. Percival? How do you like it? Wouldn't you rather I dashed you?
Miss Tarleton,
I hate you, Billy. That's what you like.
look here. This is no good. You want to do what you like.
Don't you?
No, I've been too well brought up. I've argued all through this thing, and I tell you, I'm not prepared to cast off the social bond. It's like a corset. It's a support to the figure, even if it does squeeze and deform it a bit. I want to be free.
Well, I'm tempting you to be free.
Not at all. Freedom, my good girl, means being able to count on how other people will behave. If every man who dislikes me is to throw a handful of mud in my face, and every woman who likes me is to behave like Potiphar's wife, then I shall be a slave. The slave of uncertainty, the slave of fear, the worst of all slaveries. How would you like it if every laborer you met in the road were to make love to you? No. Give me the blessed protection of a good stiff conventionality among thoroughly well-brought-up ladies and gentlemen.
Another talker. Men like conventions because men made them. I didn't make them. I don't like them. I won't keep them. Now, what will you do?
Both.
I'll catch you.
Oh, what's up, Patsy? Another aeroplane? Oh.
Indeed. And, how is she? Quite well, I hope, eh?
She is dead. Dead, my God, and you were alive.
Oh, lost your mother. That's sad. I'm sorry, but we can't all have the luck to die before our mothers and be nursed out of the world by the hands that nursed us into.
Much you care, damn you!
No, don't cut up, Rob. Face it, like a man. You see, I didn't know your mother, but I've no doubt she was an excellent woman.
Not know her? Do you dare to stand there by an open grave and deny that you knew her?
What did you say her name was?
Lucinda Titmus.
Well, I ought to remember a rum name like that if I never heard it. But I don't. Have you a photograph or anything?
Forgotten even the name of your victim.
Oh, she was my victim, was she?
She was. And you shall see her face again before you die, dead as she is. I've a photograph.
Good.
I've 2 photographs.
Oh, still better. Treasure the mother's pictures. Good boy.
One of them as you knew her. The other she became when you flung her aside and she withered into an old woman.
Well, she'd have done that anyhow, my lad. We all What do you mean? Let me hold that gun.
Stop! Do you take me for a fool?
Well, you're a little upset. naturally, but it does you credit.
Look here. Upon this picture and on this.
Good! Read Shakespeare! He has a word for every occasion. Oh, what a pretty girl. Very pretty. I can imagine myself falling in love with her when I was your age. Well, I wasn't a bad-looking young fellow myself in those days. It'd be curious that we both should have gone the same way, though.
You and say the same way. What do you mean?
Both got stout, I mean.
Would you have had to deny yourself food?
Oh, no, it wouldn't have been any use. It's constitutional. No matter how little you eat, you put on flesh if you're made that way.
Is that all the feeling that rises in you at the sight of the face you once knew so well?
Funny that I can't remember. Well, let that be a lesson to you, young man. I could go to court tomorrow and swear that I never saw that face before in my life if it wasn't for that brooch. Where have you got that brooch, by the way? You seem to carry the whole family property in that pocket.
Here it is to prove my bona fides.
I bought that brooch in Cheapside from a man with a yellow wig and a cast in his left eye. I've not set eyes on him from that day to this, and yet I remember that man, and I can't remember your mother.
Monster! Without conscience, without even memory, you left her to her shame.
Oh, come, young man, respect the romance of your mother's youth. Don't you start throwing stones at her. You see, I don't recall her features just at this moment, but I've no doubt she was kind to me, and we were happy together. If you have anything to say against her, you can take yourself out of my house and say it elsewhere.
What sort of a joker are you? Are you trying to put me in the wrong when you have to answer to me for a crime that will make every honest man spit at you as you pass in the street if I were to make it known?
You read a good deal, don't you?
What if I do? What's that to do with your infamy and my mother's doom?
Oh, there, you see, doom! It's not good sense, but it's literature. That happens that I'm a tremendous reader, always was. So when I was your age, I read books of that sort by the bushel, the doom sort, you know. It's odd, isn't it, that you and I should be like one another in that respect. Can you account for it in any way?
No. What are you driving at?
Well, do you know who your father was?
I see what you mean now. You dare set up to be my father. Thank heaven I'm not a drop of your vile blood in my veins.
Well, if you won't be civil, there's no pleasure in talking to you, is there? What do you want? Money?
How dare you insult me?
Well, what do you want?
Justice.
Oh, you're quite sure that's all.
It's enough for me.
A modest sort of demand, isn't it? Nobody's ever had it since the world began, fortunately for themselves. But you must have it, must you? Well, come to the wrong shop for it, you'll get no justice here. We don't keep it. Human nature is what we start.
Human nature, debauchery, gluttony, selfishness, robbery of the poor. Is that what you call human nature?
No, that's what you call it. Now, come, young man, you don't look starved. I need a decent suit of clothes.
42 shillings.
Oh, well, they can do you a very decent suit for 42 shillings, can't they? Have you paid for it?
Do you take me for a thief? And do you suppose I can get credit like you?
Oh, then you were able to lay your hands on 42 shillings. Judging from your conversational style, I should think you must spend at least a shilling a week on romantic literature.
Well, but I've got a shilling a week to spend on books when I can hardly keep myself decent. I can get books at the free library.
What?
The free library? There's no harm in that.
Ingrate! I supply you with 3 books, and the use you make of them is to persuade yourself that it's a fine thing to shoot me. I'll never give another penny to the free library.
You'll never give another penny to anything. This is the end for you and me.
Come now. What's the matter? Are you out of employment?
No, this is my Saturday afternoon. But don't flatter yourself that I'm a loafer or a criminal. I'm a cashier, and I defy you to say that my cash has ever been a farthing wrong. I have a right to call you to account because my hands are clean.
Well, cold way. What have I to account for? I have you a hard time with your mother. Why didn't she ask me for money?
She'd have died first. Besides, who wanted your money? Do you suppose we lived in the gutter? My father mayn't have been in as large a way as you, but he was better connected, and his shop was as respectable as yours.
Well, I suppose your mother brought in a little capital.
I don't know. What's that to do with you?
Well, you say she and I knew one another and parted. Well, she must have had something off me then. Well, one doesn't get out of these things for nothing, you know. It's a... Hey, man, do you suppose I've no heart? Of course she had her due when she found a husband with it, and she set him up in business with it, and she brought you up respectably. So what the devil have you to complain of?
Are women to be ruined with impunity?
I haven't ruined any woman that I'm aware of. I've been the making of you and your mother.
I'm a fool to stand here and argue with you. I came here to kill you and then kill myself.
Oh, well, begin with yourself if you don't mind. I've a good deal of business to do still before I do. Haven't you?
No, that's just it. I've no business to do. Do you know what my life is? I spend my days from 9 to 6, 9 hours of daylight and fresh air in a stuffy little den counting another man's money. I've an intellect, a mind and a brain and a soul, and the use he makes of is to fix them on his tuppences and his 18 pences and his £2, 17 and 4 pences and count them at the end of the day and take care that no one steals them. I enter and add and take money and give change and fill checks and stamp receipts, and not a penny of that money is my own. Not one of those transactions has the smallest interest for anyone in the world but him, and even he couldn't stand it if he had to do it all himself. And I envy for the variety and liveliness of my job by the poor devil of a bookkeeper that has to fix all my copies over again. For 50,000 entries a year that poor wretch makes, and not 10 out of the 50,000 ever has to be referred to again. And when all the figures are counted up and the balance sheet made out, well, the boss isn't a penny richer than he'd be if bookkeeping had never been invented. Of all the damnable waste of human life that was ever invented, clerking is the very worst.
Why not join the territorial?
Because the boss won't let me. He hasn't the sense to see that it would pay him to get some cheap soldiering out of me. How can a man tied to a desk from 9 to 6 be anything? Not even a man, let alone a soldier. But I'll teach him a new lesson. I've had enough of living a dog's life and despising myself for it. I've had enough of being talked down to by hogs like you and worrying my life out for a salary that wouldn't keep you in cigars. You'd never believe that a clerk's a man until one of us makes an example of one of you.
Despotism different by assassination, eh?
Yes, that's what they do in Russia. A business office is Russia as far as the clerks are concerned. So don't you take it so coolly. You think I'm not going to do it, but I am.
Come now, as man to man, if it's not your fault that I'm richer than you are, and it's not my fault that you're poorer than I am. Oh, Mother, look down from heaven and receive your unhappy son's last sigh.
Oh, rot. Do you think I read novelettes? And do you think I believe such superstitions as heaven? I go to church because the boss told me I did the sack if I didn't. Free England. Ha!
So you're afraid of getting the sack, but you're not afraid to shoot yourself.
Damn you. You're trying to keep me talking until somebody comes.
Somebody has come.
Stand off. I'll shoot you if you lay a hand on me. I will, by God.
You can't cover me with that pistol. Try.
Oh, dear God. Oh.
Ow!
Please, stop. I can't bear to twist somebody's wrist, but I must have you don't let that pistol
couldn't even do that job decently. Very well. Send for your damned police and make an end of it. I'm accustomed to prison from 9 to 6. I dare say I can take it from 6 to 9 as well.
Don't swear, that's a lady.
Beaten by a female. It needed only this.
Old pal, don't call the police. Lend him a bicycle and let him get away.
I can't ride a bicycle. I could never afford one. I'm not even that much good.
If I gave you a £100 note down, you would have a good spree. I wonder, would you know how to set about it? Do you ever take a holiday?
Take? I got 4 days last August.
Well, what did you do?
I did a cheap trip to Folkestone. I spent 7 pence on dropping pennies into silly automatic machines and peep shows of rowdy girls having a jolly time. I spent a penny on the lift and 4 pence on refreshments. That cleaned me out. The rest of the time I was so miserable that I was glad to get back to the office. Now you know.
Come to the gymnasium with me. I'll teach you how to make a man of yourself.
Young man, don't! You tried to shoot me, but I'm not vindictive. If you want every joint in your body stretched until it's an agony to live, then go to the gymnasium with that lady. But you'll be more comfortable in jail.
Was that the telegram you said you had forgotten to send? Was that why you went away, old pal? Is anything the matter, John? You said you couldn't call him over an hour ago and you told me you said you were ill. Is anything the matter?
This is the son of an old friend of mine, Mr. Gunner.
Good evening to you.
I say, has anybody seen Hypatia? She promised to come out with me. And where's Joey?
I can tell you what Hypatia is. I can tell you what Joey is. And I say it's a scandal and an infamy. If people only knew what goes on in this so-called respectable house, it would be put a stop to. These are the morals of our pious capitalist class. This is our rotten bourgeoisie.
Yes, you dare use such language in company. I looked him out.
No, it's all right, Chicken Bitty. It's not bad language. It's only socialism.
Well, I won't hear any socialism in my house.
Up there, you see what Mrs. Tarleton says? Well, in this house, everybody does what she says, or out they go.
Do you suppose I want to stay? Do you think I would breathe this polluted atmosphere a moment longer than I could help?
Yes, but what did you say about Mr. Percival, you beastly rotter, you?
Oh. Is Hypatia your daughter? And Joey is Mr. Percival, is he? One of your set, I suppose. One of the smart set. One of the bridge-playing, 80-horsepower weekender set. One of the Johnnies I slave for. Well, Joey has more decency than your daughter, anyhow. The women are the worst. I never believed it till I saw it with my own eyes. Well, it won't last forever. The writing is on the wall. Rome fell, Babylon fell, and its turn will come.
Whatever are you talking about, young man?
I know what I'm talking about. I went into that Turkish bath a boy and I came out a man.
Good gracious, he's a man! Did you make him take a Turkish bath? No, he doesn't need Turkish baths. I don't understand what it's all about. I found him trying to shoot Mr. Carlton. Hey, Johnny, encouraging you. I'll be bound, buddy. You go for the police. I'll teach you to come into my house and shoot my husband.
Take away. I never asked to be let off. I'm ashamed to be here instead of taking my part with the rest. Women, beautiful women of noble birth are going to prison for their opinions. And girls, students in Russia, be cut by the gallows, let themselves be cut in pieces by the knout, or driven through the frozen snows of Siberia sooner than stand on looking tamely at the world being made a hell for the toiling millions. If you were not all skunks and cowards, you'd be suffering with them, instead of battening here on the plunder of the poor.
Oh, have you ever heard such nonsense, buddy? You go tell the garbage center for one of his many race off the police.
I'll go with you. I intend to give myself up. I'm going to expose what I've seen there, no matter what the consequences might be to my miserable self.
Stop! You stay where you are, Ben, on Chicken Bitty. You never had the police in. If you had, you'd not be in a hurry to have them in again. Now, young man, cut the cackle and tell
tell us, as short as you can, what did you see?
I can't tell you in the presence of ladies.
Oh, you are tiresome. Does it matter to anyone what you saw? Me, a married woman that might be your mother. And I'm sure you're not particular, if you'll excuse my saying.
Alfred, what did you see?
I saw your daughter with my own eyes. Oh, my God. Well, never mind what I saw.
Beastly rotter. I'll get Joey to give you such a hiding.
Can't leave it at that, you know. What did you see my daughter doing?
After all, why shouldn't she do it? Well, the Russian students do it. Women should be as free as men. I'm a fool. I'm so full of your bourgeois morality that I let myself be shocked by the application of my own revolutionary principles. She likes a man, why shouldn't she tell him so?
Don't I do wonder if you let him talk like this before everybody? Would you mind going into the drawing room, Miss Chipanowski? This is a private family matter, if you don't mind. I should have gone before, Mrs. Charlton, if there had been anyone before Ted and Mr. Charlton and the young gentleman.
There you are. It's all of a piece here. The men effeminate, the women unsexed.
Don't begin again, old chap. Keep it for Trafalgar Square.
No! No! Excuse me rushing in like this. Mr. Percival has been chasing me down the hill.
Oh, chased a muppet. Don't be ashamed, be fearless, be truthful.
Gunner, will you go to Paris for a fortnight? I'll pay your expenses.
What do you mean?
There was a silent witness in the Turkish bath.
I found him hiding there. Whenever we got here, he saw and heard. That's what he means.
Am I to understand you was daring to put forward the monstrous and blackguardly lie that this lady behaved improperly in my presence?
You know what I saw, nerd.
I hope it is not necessary for me to assure you all that there is not one word of truth, not one grain of substance in this rascally calumny which no man with a spark of decent feeling would have uttered if he had been ignorant enough to believe it. Miss Tarleton's conduct, since I have had the honor of knowing her, has been, I need hardly say, in every respect, beyond reproach. As for you, sir, you'll have the goodness to come out with me immediately. I have some business with you which can't be settled in Mrs. Tarleton's presence or in her house.
Why should I go out with you?
Because I intend that you shall.
I won't be bullied by you. Police! Help! Help me! My right of you to lay hands on me.
Oh, let him run where Mr. Percival is very poor company. We shall be well rid of him. Let him go.
Not until he has taken back and made the fullest apology for the abominable lie he has told. He shall do that, or he shall defend himself against the most thorough thrashing I'm capable of giving him. Take your choice. Which is it to be?
Give me a fair chance. Go and stick at a desk from 9 to 6 for a month, and let me have your grub and your sport and your lessons in boxing, and I'll fight you fast enough. No, I'm no good, and you daren't bully me like this.
You should have thought of that before you attacked a lady with a dastardly slander. I'm waiting for your decision. I'm rather in a hurry, please.
I never said anything against the lady.
We'll have it in writing, if you don't mind. Now sit down and take that pen in your hand. Now write, I, whatever your name is.
I can't. My hand's shaking too much. It's no use. I'm doing my best. I can't.
Mr. Summerhaze will write it. You can sign it.
Get up!
What's your name?
John Brown.
Couldn't you make it a Horace Smith or Algernon or Robinson or...
But my name is John Brown. There are really John Browns. How can I help it if my name's a common one?
Well, show us a letter addressed to you.
How can I? I never get any letters. I'm only a clerk. I can show you a JB on my handkerchief.
Where do you live?
Old Chesterfield Parade, Kenderstown, Northwest.
I, John Brown, of Old Chesterfield Parade, Kentish Town, do hereby voluntarily confess that on the 31st May, 1909, What exactly did you do?
Oh, I trespassed on the land of John Tarleton at Pinhead and effected an unlawful entry into his house where I secreted myself in a portable Turkish bath.
Wait a minute, would you? Slow down. Turkish bath.
With a pistol with which I threatened to take the life of the said John Tarleton and was prevented from doing so only by the timely arrival of the celebrated Miss Lena Schnauz.
She celebrated? I never thought it.
I'm awfully sorry, I can't spell Shishishbinich, you know. Shashibinalska.
I think it's S-Z-C. Better say the Polish lady.
The Polish lady.
Now it's your turn.
I further confess that I was guilty of uttering an abominable calumny concerning Miss Hypatia Tarleton, for which there was not a shred of foundation.
Foundation.
I apologize most humbly to the lady and her family for my conduct.
Conducts.
And I promise, Mr. Tarleton, not to repeat it and to amend my life.
Amend my life.
And to do what lies to prove worthy of his kindness in giving me another chance.
Another chance.
And refraining from delivering me up to the punishment I so richly deserve.
Richly deserved.
Does that satisfy you, Miss Tarleton?
Yes, that will teach him to tell lies next time.
You mean we'll teach him to tell the truth next time?
Oh, do you, Nancy?
Be good enough to sign. I hope what you are signing is no mere form of words to you, and that you not only say you are sorry, but you are sorry.
Stop, Mr. Percival. I think on Hypatia's account, Lord Summings ought to be told about this.
Certainly.
Oh, take my advice and cut it short. Get rid of him.
Hypatia ought to have a character clear.
Oh, you let well enough alone, Chick Biddy. Most of our characters will bear a little careful dusting. but they won't bear scouring. The Patsy's jolly well out of it. What does it matter, anyhow?
Mr. Tarleton, we have said either too much or not enough. Lord Summerhays, will you be kind enough to witness the declaration this man has just signed?
I haven't yet. Am I to sign now?
Of course. Now stand up and read your declaration to this gentleman. Now, please.
I, John Brown, of Fort Chesterfield, Parade, Kentish Ground, do hereby voluntarily confess that on the 31st of May, 1909, I trespassed on the land of Sir John Tarleton at Kinghead and effected an unlawful entry and secreted myself in a portable Turkish box with a pistol with which I threatened to take the life of the said John Tarleton and was prevented from doing so only by the timely arrival of the Polish lady. That I was guilty of uttering an abominable calumny concerning Miss Elizabeth Tarleton, for which there was not a shred of foundation. I apologize most humbly to the lady and to her family for my conduct, and I promise Mr. Tarleton not to repay it and to amend my life, and to do what in me lies to prove worthy of his kindness in giving me another chance, and refraining from delivering me up to the punishment I so richly deserve.
Do you consider that sufficient, Lord Summerhays?
Oh, quite.
Lord Summerhays would probably like to hear you say that you are satisfied, Miss Tarleton.
I must say that you have behaved like a perfect gentleman, Mr. Percival.
We need not trouble you any further.
The gardener will show you the quickest way out.
Thank you. Mayn't I have my mother's photographs back again?
Oh, garden photographs. Yes, take them.
What's this, John? What are you doing with his mother's photographs?
Oh, nothing particularly. Never mind, it's all right.
Lucy Titmus? Oh, John.
Young man, you're a fool. But you just put the lid on this job in a masterly manner. I knew you would. I told you all to live well enough alone, and you wouldn't. And now you must take the consequences, or rather, I must take.
Are you Lucy's son?
Yes.
Then why didn't you come to me? I didn't turn my back on your mother in a time of trouble. Did you know that?
She never talked to me about anything.
How could she talk to her own son? No, shy, Summerhays, parent and child, shy.
How did you find out?
From her papers after she died.
Is Lucy dead? And I never knew. And you were all for being treated like this with nobody to take your part. You tear up that foolish paper child and sit down and make friends with me.
But
Please, one at a time.
will you allow me to remind you, Mrs. Tarleton, that this man has uttered a most serious and disgraceful falsehood concerning Miss Tarleton and myself.
I don't believe a word of it. If the poor lad was there in the Turkish bath, then who has a better right to say what went on here than he has? You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Patsy, and so ought you too, Mr. Percival, for encouraging her.
Mrs. Tarleton, I give you my word of honor.
Oh, go along with you and your word of honor. You think I'm a fool? I couldn't even look the man in the face after making him sign those foolish lies. And all the time you carried on with my daughter after not half an hour in my house. Fine for shame.
Lord Summerhays, I appeal to you. Have I done the correct thing or not?
Well, you've done your best, Mr. Percival. But the correct thing relies on everyone playing the game very strictly. As a single-handed game, it's impossible.
Tell me, have you taken Hypatia away from me?
Philip, you must control yourself.
Come, Mr. Percival, the shutters are up on this gentlemanly business. Try the truth.
I am in a wretched position. If I tell the truth, nobody will believe me.
Yes, they will. The truth makes everybody believe it.
It also makes everybody pretend not to believe it. Mrs. Tarleton, you're not playing the game.
I don't think you behaved nicely at all, Mr. Curtis.
I wouldn't have played you such a dirty trick, you beast.
Then, you really must control it. May I say at the same time, Mr. Percival, that my son seems to have been mistaken in regarding you as either a friend or a gentleman.
Miss Tarleton, I'm suffering this for your sake. I ask you just to say that I am not to blame. Just that and nothing more.
You chased me through the heather and kissed me. You shouldn't have done that if you were not in earnest.
Oh, this is really the limit.
Sir, I appeal to you as a gentleman, as a man of honor, as a man bound to stand by another man. You were in the Turkish bath. You saw how it began. Could any man behave more correctly than I did? Is there a shadow of foundation for the accusations brought against me?
What do you want me to say? When I tell the truth, you make me go back on it. And now you want me to go back on myself. What was the man to do?
Please try to get your mind clear, Mr. Brown. I pointed out to you that, as a gentleman, you could not disparage a lady's character. You agree with me, I hope.
Yes, that sounds all right.
But you're also bound to tell the truth. Surely you'll not deny that.
Who's denying it? I say nothing against it.
Of course not. Well, I ask you to tell the truth, simply and unaffectedly. Did you witness any improper conduct on my part when you were in the bar?
No, sir.
Oh, God, rotten.
Stop! Enough said! Leave it at that. Oh, Mr. Percival, you're whitewashed, and so are you, Patsy. Now, the next thing to do is to open a subscription on a ranch for this young man in some far country that's accustomed to be in a disturbed
Now,
state.
John, stop joking at all that. I don't have it. It's been worried to death between you all. If you had your tea here.
Hey, no, it's too early. I didn't want it. Only I had no dinner. I never had any because I never thought I'd be alive.
Oh, what a thing to say. You mustn't talk like that.
There you see, he is crazy, thinks it's past his dinner time.
Oh, but you no sense. He calls his lunch his dinner. He has his tea at 6:30. Haven't you, dear?
Hasn't everybody?
Here, try a mouthful of slow gin.
No, thanks. I'm a teetotaler. I can't touch alcohol in any form.
No, nonsense. This isn't alcohol, it's slow gin. A vegetarian, you know.
Is it a fruit beverage?
Of course it is. Fruit beverage, here you are.
Thanks. It's rather hot.
Oh, don't be afraid of it. Do you good.
Simply, dear, don't be in a hurry.
I want to know where we are.
Well, I don't. Wherever you are, you're there anyhow. But I tell you again, leave it at that.
But I've a right to know. After all, I am engaged to Hypatia.